What's going on, everybody? It is your boy Zamboni. I am an herbalist and astrologer, and it is time to talk about the astrology of the week ahead. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for sending me a tip via Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. I know I say that every week and it becomes a little routine or whatever, but really that makes it possible for me to survive in the world. I don't have a real job. Sometimes I send out a resume and I don't get a call back. So this is what I do full time. So y'all really make it possible for me to live and to continue to do this work to bring about the more beautiful world that our hearts know is possible. Thank you so much for being here, rocking with me during this time. I appreciate you. Let's talk about the astrology of the week ahead. So this week we have there are two main things that are happening this week. And by two main things, I mean there's one main thing and we also get Venus into Cancer. So Venus into Cancer is going to happen early in the week. I like this placement. Venus does really well in Cancer. Venus and the moon are friends. They know how to work together. The moon is exalted in Venus's sign. Venus is not exalted in the moon's sign, but it's clear that Venus is comfortable in that space. They're homies. It's like when you go over to your friend's house and you just feel comfortable in their house. You can just reach in the fridge and grab whatever you want out of there or whatever it is. Maybe sometimes you come over and you bring stuff to put into the fridge, that kind of thing. It's that kind of relationship. Venus and the moon have that sort of relationship. So Venus is going to be in the moon's house this week. So and this is a good look for Venus. This is also a good look for Cancer because Cancer has had a lot of drama. You know, we had this big full moon in Capricorn, which is the opposite to Cancer, of course. And we've got the Mercury cazimi also, which is happening, I think that's like today. And then that's opposite to Pluto. Then the sun is going to move and be opposite to Pluto for a lot of the week this week. And so we're really just going to be looking at the same old power dynamics. We're going to be looking at the fear that might be coming up around the negotiation of power and or you know there's relational stuff, there's body stuff, there's security stuff that wants to come up. There's we've been looking at things like imposter syndrome and this kind of thing. Like, am I actually good enough? Am I good enough as a person? Am I worth it? How do I feel about this? Why do I feel like I might not be? All these kinds of things have been coming up since that full moon in Capricorn, right? So we're going to see more of that stuff with the Mercury cazimi. Mercury is conjunct the sun, so that is going to be happening opposite to that Pluto this week. We're also going to be seeing the sun opposite to Pluto this week. So all this Cancer stuff is really coming up and it feels emotional and it feels tough. To see Venus coming into this space means that we are still likely to be in this sort of sensitive and heart-centered space around that sort of stuff. But with Venus, there's a sweetness. There's a loving component. There's a way, it's almost like, if I have some fearful thoughts or some fearful emotional vibration, something like difficult is happening, and maybe there's some obsession or some jealousy or something like that sort of like is underneath the surface, and like I don't know how to feel about it and all this sort of stuff. And a lot of times when we feel emotions like that, we'll be like, oh no, can't do that, gotta run away from that, gotta not have that, or something like this. Venus in this area maybe gives us a little bit of license to have some compassion about it. I was talking to somebody recently who was talking about their history of addiction. And we were thinking with difficult transits that were coming up, and it was like, okay, well, the addictive stuff might want to come up here again. And so rather than being super afraid of that and running away from that, maybe we can have a sense of compassion around it. So whatever the thing is that I'm trying to treat with this addictive or vicey behavior, or whatever it is for you, right? Whatever I'm sort of running away from or treating or whatever it is, maybe we can make a little space for that and see about treating that thing rather than being super down on myself for making bad decisions or something like that. There's a compassion that Venus in Cancer has that I think is going to be a real useful medicine for us, especially since that is not the main event of the week. The main thing that we see going on this week is Mercury and the Sun after opposing Pluto in Capricorn, they're going to move from Cancer into Leo. So as they move into Leo, this is the domicile of the sun. So the sun is super comfortable in this space. Mercury also feels pretty good in Leo. Mercury likes being in Leo. Mercury and the sun get along very well. It's almost like Mercury is the sun's right-hand man. Mercury is never far from the sun. They go together. If the sun has an idea, the sun can't really communicate that idea without the help of Mercury. And so these two, they go together, right? So they are moving into Leo into a placement that feels pretty comfortable for them under most circumstances. However, Leo is a fixed sign. That means that it's opposite to Saturn in Aquarius. That means it's also square to Mars and Uranus and the North Node in Taurus. So this Uranus and Taurus versus Saturn and Aquarius. We've been talking about this for 2 years now, right? This continues to go on. Saturn and Uranus are getting closer and closer. Their square is at no point this year is it going to go exact. However, they're going to be very close, and we are entering that time where we're seeing that stuff really come up again, especially since Mars is moving through Taurus going at a pretty good Mars kind of rate. We're going to be seeing Mars stuff wanting to excite, wanting to aggravate, wanting to inflame these dynamics. The Saturn in Aquarius that wants to order things, that wants to make efficient systems dynamics, versus Uranus who wants to be free, who wants to liberate, who wants to upset, who wants to throw a wrench into Saturn's plans. Mars is on Team Uranus on this one, right? So Mars is in Taurus there with Uranus. And so Mars, who is the one who wants to agitate and inflame and move around and all this sort of stuff, action, right? That's what Mars likes to do. Mars is going to add a spark to whatever Uranus has been sitting on for all this time, right? So we've been looking at things like civil unrest. We've been looking at volatility as far as the price of food and labor, this kind of stuff. We've been seeing unrest around that volatility, all of these kinds of things, bread riots, all that sort of stuff. We're going to see that sort of stuff really wanting to come out here. And that is also likely to be spotlighted by the Leo stuff. So that's kind of what the sun does in the first place, is like shines the light on you super bright, and whatever is going on with that is angular to that, which is going to be the Saturn-Uranus situation, we're going to shine a spotlight on that. We're going to see how loud and vibrant that can be. I also expect a fair bit of sort of like resistance from famous faces to the authoritative management system. So that is to say that individuals or famous faces or celebrities or the ones who would be king, the ones who who think of themselves as king or sovereign or whatever that is, right? Then those types are likely to beef with or to conflict with, to see some tension around the management systems that Saturn has been trying to work up in the past few years here. So we can expect, populist types, the ones who have one of Saturn's problems that Saturn runs into, especially in Aquarius, is that it's a little technical. It loves the theoretical operation of the thing, but once it gets into actual people and actual lived experiences, it has trouble relating to that. And so the sun in Leo is very personable, very relatable. And so that relatability then comes into conflict with the neatly ordered idea and theoretical construct that Saturn in Aquarius has put into place. And so I've been watching Elon Musk versus Twitter as an idea for, like, Twitter is really big on the rules of engagement, and Elon Musk is very big on the rules don't apply to me. I can do whatever I want. And so that's a nice example of this dynamic. We're going to be seeing this kind of stuff showing up in a lot of places, not just that one place. Of course, we're going to see that showing up in our own lives and all this as well. I am out of time here. Thank you so much for being here with me. If you would like to support, you can find me on Patreon. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on YouTube. Thank you for being with me at all these places. You can find me on Venmo, Cash App, PayPal. Thank you for being here with me. I got some big things coming out this week. Look forward to seeing you there.